Trump is the next 9/11, basically. The prosecution and conviction of Donald Trump and the 34 felony counts is basically the human being level 9/11 for what's coming next, because that just opened the sluice gates to allow them to arrest you
for whatever,
for anything.
They've already been doing that.
Yeah.
We have the prison industrial complex is probably halfway full with nonviolent so-called felonies.
Yeah.
Right. Now, don't get me wrong. There are people that deserve to be there. You rape kids, you should be put to death. You rape somebody, you're in there. You murder somebody, you're in there. You do something that causes a grievous bodily harm, or you steal a lot of money from somebody, you should be in there. But there are so many laws on the books, they could literally kick down anyone's door.
Yes, that's correct.
And you'll be in prison for anywhere between 3 and 11 years.
Yeah.
And it's down to like, let's say you were prescribed Ambien on the January of a particular year. The prescription runs out in 6 months. If you did not take all of those pills and they kick your door a year after that and they find them and you don't have a valid prescription, you're violating the Controlled
They'll violate
Substance
you
Act.
for a drug charge. That is absolutely 100%.
It happens
correct.
I
know somebody that happened.
Yeah.
A school teacher. She was driving home and she was paying attention to her phone, which was stupid, and crossed the line.
Yeah.
And the cop pulled her over, and she had a prescription for something because she's got Crohn's. So she had some sort of med or whatever.
Yeah.
And the pills were not in a properly marked prescription bottle, and she couldn't prove a prescription. So the cop arrested her. She's a school teacher. She's a freaking 9th grade school teacher.
Yeah.
And they arrested her because she had a couple of pills in her center console.
But here's the thing, though, is the infrastructure has been passed meticulously over the past 30 years. It is now in place.
Yes.
And now we're seeing the will to use this against our population is now rising to the top. 80 million to 90 million people out there do not want this to happen. And when it starts happening, that is a lot of people to try to control. You will not be able to do it. It will turn into a two-way rifle range in no time flat.
The first thing that is going to happen is a couple of people will try to resist, and the government will put them down, and they will probably be killed and will definitely be imprisoned. But in that process, at least one of them is going to end up on camera somehow, because it really is 2024 and everybody literally has cameras all over the place all of the time. The government will oppress that individual in whatever fashion is fashionable at the moment, and that will leak out, and that will cause more incidents, and the government will attempt to put those down.
Like for instance, the January 6th people,
Mm-hmm.
they do not want them out, because as soon as they get into the spotlight, they're going to run their mouth and tell them exactly what's going on.
Yes. Yeah, they have to hold those people for as long as they can in hopes that they can get all the controls in place.
Yes.
Before they're forced to let them go, or they can just kill them. Just kill them? They wouldn't do that. This is America.
Yeah, just like in Canada, where there won't be any, suicide boards or any board to see who lives or dies. Now, if you look up Canada, I believe it's like one of the top 10 ways to die in Canada is, basically suicide or euthanasia when it's done by the state.
Yeah, that's absolutely 110%.
That's
correct.
what you get when you have national health care. Best we can do is kill you. That's going to be coming here.
There was a 29-year-old girl in Norway recently who has been petitioning to be suicided.
Yes.
Who was finally granted her suicide by the state.
Yes.
And
she had a couple of so-called mental illnesses or something.
Yeah.
It was very mild.
Yeah.
But the thing is that is coming, because they're, according to the global elites, there are too many useless eaters on the planet.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like 6 companies that own the media. And guess what? Unfortunately, the heads of every one of those companies does happen to be Jewish.
You are correct.
That's just true.
Yeah. And guess what? If this goes south, unfortunately, they're going to take the blame again.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is what it is. And then there's going to be a certain number of billionaires who are going to have the target put on their back as well. It's not going to be a religious thing. It's going to be, if you have any culpability in the mass genocide, which I see coming down the road, at the back end of it, you ain't worth shit.
I see two stories from our past coming true in all of this, based on what the Bolsheviks appear to want done to the country, particularly the United States of America. I haven't been following Europe deep enough to be able to say this about Europe, so I'm not going to opine there. This is what I see coming for the United States. Orwell's The Time Machine, or H.G. Wells' The Time Machine. He wrote that in 1898 or something like that. But he described this whole thing with the Morlock ruling class and the Eloi class that did all the farming and then also provided food, as in like the Morlocks ate the Eloi.
Yeah.
And then again,
I hated that fucking movie, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, I hated it.
It's a good movie. What's wrong with you?
I didn't like the cannibalistic.
You don't like the cannibalism?
No, I'm not a fan of that at all.
Eat the baby.
No.
And then the movie from the early 1970s, Logan's Run, where they had an entirely enclosed society and these people just did what they were told to do and they did the work that they were told to do. Families weren't allowed. Childbirth was strictly controlled.
And when you hit 30?
When you hit 30, you went to carousel and they killed you.
Yep.
And this ran an efficient machine until one of them finally figured out, hey, what if I don't go to carousel? And sure enough, he gets away. And it turns out that these elites had been ruling this whole society and keeping people at 30. And they were uneducated, just educated enough to run the machine.
Yep.
Which is where we are now. I noted when I did research into that book, Genderqueer.
Yep.
When it came to our library, and I stood up in front of the county and told people I researched the book. The author, a young female with some serious mental issues, wrote it. Her parents were both teachers at elite academies in the Sonoma Valley in wine country, which means lots and lots of money. By 5th and 6th grade, these kids were learning Roman history. They were graphing.
Yeah.
They were doing pre-calculus. This is 6th grade. Okay, and studying advanced subjects, advanced science, physics, that sort of thing. 6th graders in the United States, hell, 10th graders in the United States right now, you know what they're learning about? Lube.
Yes.
You're being turned into an Eloi class. You're being turned into Logan's Run.
That's pretty scary.
Yeah. The society is being dumbed down to where only the elites have the knowledge. And this underclass, I know people who are proud of being stupid. Oh, why would I want to know that?
Yeah, I know people like that too.
And they laugh it off and they look at you like you're crazy. I'm like,
yeah. And listen, I have people out there who criticize the hell out of me for doing what I'm doing on this show.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, you know what you're talking about? You don't have the expertise. You don't have a degree in X, Y, and Z. No. But I'm a former special operations guy.
Yep.
And they don't bestow those kind of laurels on people who are idiots.
Yeah, you don't need a special degree or piece of paper to do research.
Or have common sense, be able to use logic and reason.
That's called what? Do you know what that's called? It has a term.
No.
Credentialism.
It's
called credentialism. If you don't have the credentials, how can you possibly know what you're talking about?
It's the same as arguing from a position of authority.
Yes.
Credentialism.
Mm-hmm.
I like
credentialism.
I got to learn all these different
Appeal
terms.
From authority is when you say, I am the authority and you should listen to me. Appeal to authority is when you say, no, you're stupid. I'm only going to listen to this guy over here who has a degree. And that's where the credentialism comes in. Well, both feature credentialism, but appeal from and appeal to authority.
I need to learn all these terms for debating because I have a feeling.
I was on the debate team.
Yeah, I was not on the debate team. But I was married, so I was a master debater for a while.
Watch Grunt Speak live every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And if you want to join Pop for Supporter Sundays, go to redonkulous.com/donate and make a monthly pledge. A link is in the Meat Gazer box.